We're going to call this commission meeting to order on June 12th at 6:30 p.m. We're going to have invocation and then the pledge. Father, we come to you as humble as we know how, just saying thank you for tonight. Thank you for everyone that's here. Father, we ask that you continue to order the footsteps of the city in the right direction. Continue, God, to give us innovative ideas on how to do what it is that needs to be done in the city. In Jesus' name we do pray, amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Howell,
Here.
Commissioner White.
Here.
All right, we're going to have the approval of the agenda. There's some changes that will be made to the agenda. Well, we're proposing to be changed because they're not here. Special presentation number 1. The Early Learning Coalition is not here on tonight. And item number 3 on the agenda needs to be removed because the Douglas Historical Society is no longer doing that.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I make a motion we approve the modified agenda as presented.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, so approval of the consent agenda from the minutes from the May 22nd commission meeting and minutes from May 22nd budget workshop.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda for May 22nd commission meeting and the May 22nd budget workshop.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, special presentation, item number 1, fire assessment fee presentation.
I promise I didn't just send them out to a call just for, So, this year's fire assessment fees, we did have a study done. I'm going to have Kevin come up and give me a hand a little bit with this. Him and I work very close together on these projects, so he has a lot of information to share also when it comes to these things. In case the commission doesn't know, he's way more than just a PIO. He's very much my right-hand man when it comes to things of that kind of nature. So, sure. Well, thank you. So, as we get into this, just to understand a little bit about what the fire assessment fee truly is, it's a revenue source for fire protection services. It's a non-ad valorem revenue, okay? Dependent cost on services, not taxable value. So it's not based on the taxable value of the property. It's valued on the services themselves. Broadens our tax base. Provides a little bit of accountability where it legally restricts the funds that are only to be used for fire services. In equity, property values bear no bearing on what the fire assessments are. Again, they're non-ad valorem, and they're proportionately distributed amongst residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional. So there's only one way you can really slice the pie, and when we get to the pie, we'll show you how that goes. So some frequently asked questions, what is the fire assessment fee? In general, it's a fee that's billed on your annual property taxes. And it's there for the fire protection services within the city. Is it new? No. The very first assessment fee that we had, I think it was the first one, right, was 2008. So the fire assessment fee's been here since 2008. And currently that assessed value for residential homes is $223 per year. That is the current assessed values. So before we did the assessed values, one more thing, yes, this cannot be used for any other department. It has to be used for just the fire department. So when we look at these assessment fees, and before we move anything further, we've started kind of in talks with the county about our interlocal agreement also. So we know that there's possibly going to be a shortfall in what they're providing for us. But when we look at these numbers, this is just a small snapshot. It doesn't go all the way back to 2008. But in 2017, the residential assessment was $112. In 2021, which was the year right after we went to advanced life support, that fee went up to $223, and it's been that way for the last 4 years, $223. Where initially our, okay, go ahead and get some information about this one if you don't mind.
Yeah. So as we go through the presentation, it's going to show you a couple different scenarios, and it breaks it up how the fees have to be distributed between the residential rate, commercial, institutional, and industrial. That is based off of the call volume that the department responds to. Has to be equitable. So if you look at the data from 2023 and 2024, we ran about 3,400 calls between the 2 years. 68.75% of those calls were to residential. So 68.75% of the revenue generated has to be from residential. Same thing for commercial. 18.4% of our responses were commercial, so 18.4% has to come from, your, that's the amount that has to be assessed. You can see, compared to 2008, there has been a significant increase in that commercial response. There's also been a significant increase in commercial growth in the city since 2008, thus driving a higher call volume on the commercial side. So when you see that, that's kind of the method to the madness as to why there has to be these certain rates and why these things have to be distributed out, is it's based on the call volume, and that breaks it down for you. So again, 68% residential call volume, 68% has to come as from the fire assessment.
Okay, so as we go into these different scenarios, this is going to be kind of an idea of different ways that we can manipulate this fire assessment fee to better serve the citizens, better serve the residents, and better serve our department. When we look at what we have now, our certified total revenue from the fire assessment fees is $783,000. Okay, that was a cap, and that was capped until we had this study done. Since we have this study done, that number based on our call volume and other factors now it has increased more than double that of what we have of accessible values. So currently we're at $223 per year for residential, 0.09 cents for commercial per square foot, 2 cents per square foot for industrial and warehouse, and 16 cents per square foot for institutional properties. Scenario one, if we went for 100% of our accessible value, which is not something we are not encouraging at all, but if we were to go for 100% of what they say we have accessible value of, it would raise residential to $3.83, commercial to 36 cents, industrial to 11 cents, and institutional to 24 cents for a total of 1.488. We're not looking for that. That would be silly to try to even entertain that. That is the max. That is something that, eventually could we work towards that? Maybe, but it would depend on what the economy's doing and how we're moving as far as that goes. If we use the scenario where we keep the residential rate flat, if we kept the residential rate flat, $223 per year, we would need to increase the commercial rate to 21 cents per square foot, industrial and warehouse to 7 cents per square foot, and your institutional to 14 cents per square foot. That would net us a gain of about $83,895 in our accessible value, which would go obviously into our budget. We do anticipate probably anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 reduction in funding from the county. That's what we're assuming is going to happen. We're in negotiations. We don't know that that's a solid number or not, but that's what we're assuming that's going to happen. Okay.
Mr. Vice Mayor, Chief, can I ask a question? I just
Sure.
want to make sure I understand what we're looking at here.
Yep.
Can you tell me the difference between the institutional and industrial?
Institutional are like your schools
Okay.
and things like that. Industrial warehouse would be like the industrial park where it's a warehouse-type building, or they're making and manufacturing products and things like that. Commercial would be your downtown businesses and things like that.
So
that
Air
would be your
Liquide
differences.
would be industrial warehouse?
Yes.
And they are currently paying 2 cents per square foot?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Oh, sorry. So this would net us about an $83,895 increase. It would also decrease the number for your institutionals to 14 cents instead of 16 cents, but it would raise the other ones 21 and 7 cents respectively. So it'd be a 12 and 5 cent increase for commercial and for industrial warehouse. Now, when we look at this scenario, this slightly increases the residential rate to $239 per year. That's about a $16 difference. Probably equates to maybe a pack of gum a week or a month. Then we go to our commercial rates. They would increase to 23 cents, industrial warehouse to 7, and institutional to 15, giving us a assessable value of $932.08, which would give us an additional $147,208 assessable value. And this all includes also, these numbers all include the buy downs for your government and your institutional and your exemptions. So it takes into account those folks that can't pay those fees that can apply for an exemption. So those numbers take into account those people also.
I got a question too.
Yes, sir.
You don't open up a can of worms.
Sure.
So why is industrial so different than commercial? At least why isn't that the same thing as institutional? Because some of your warehouses, they make the bulk of the money in town. Like, why isn't it the same as that?
So, correct me if I'm wrong, it goes back to what he said in the beginning, it goes off of the call load. So, it also goes off the square footage, and that study tells us how much you can have per category and off the call load on how much we can generate.
No.
Yeah,
Did I say that right, Kevin?
Yeah. Yeah, the amount of calls that we would run to an industrial are much lower, but the building themselves are much larger. So, most industrial buildings are much larger than a commercial building. If you think about Bev's drive-through, okay, compared to one of the buildings in the industrial park, there's a big difference in size of building, but there's also a better possibility that we would go to Bev's drive-through for a call than if we went to the industrial park kind of thing. Make sense?
Kinda.
So
Kinda.
with Air Liquide, are we talking about the entire acreage or just their enclosed buildings
Square footage.
Square footage.
Square footage of the buildings.
of the buildings?
Mhm.
Okay.
So the response that we made, speaking of this particular business, the response that was required not too long ago, that doesn't trip that to a little bit higher percentage?
Nope. Unfortunately,
Because it would only be a
'Cause it was
call
one-
for,
it
it's
was
a call
one
for
call.
service.
it was one call for
It's a
service.
call for service.
So I
Heck of a
see,
call.
I
we see where you're coming from.
yeah, I see
Yeah.
where your head's at, but you have to remember that was an extremely isolated incident.
True.
So, our responses to Air Liquide are minimal. And if we are going there outside of the incident to which we are referring, it's usually for a fire alarm or something like that. So like Chief said, our responses to institutional places generally are few and far between. Again, that was an extreme isolated incident. But all of these rates are based off of our responses in calendar year 23 and 24 to these types of facilities.
So it has to be a flat assessment based on sheer numbers, and there's no applicable sliding scale based on the fact that they are, in fact,
So this
dealing
is,
with
this-
hazardous waste.
Yeah, this methodology is best practice in case law. So this is what protects us. This is what has been deemed as legal that allows municipalities throughout the state to levy fire assessments. So again, this is best practice. There are different methodologies out there, but this is, for this particular methodology, this is best practice and arguably one of the most watertight methodologies out there too.
So just because they make a lot of money doing something, we don't get to charge them more money.
Correct.
I'm not as much focused on the fact that they're making a lot of money as I am on what they're making. I mean, I understand what you're saying. This is just new for me, and I'm trying to understand. It would help me, and I don't know about Mr. Vice Mayor or Commissioner Howell, if I could get a printout of this for when we're talking about what we're going to do, so that I can see what you've got. Because I understand what you're saying, but I didn't have this to look at beforehand. This really helps.
Chief, can we just get the slides emailed to all the commissioners?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be great.
Angela, you want them to do that through you, or can you do it himself?
I'll do it.
To the commission? Okay. Got
But
it?
these numbers are based on the pie graph that you started with, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
these numbers are based on the pie
Gotcha.
graph.
Okay.
And the increases are based on, what revenue we're going to generate for the increases.
And then what was the max that could be done?
The max would be scenario number 1. Residential at 383, commercial at 36 cents, industrial at 11 cents, institutional at 24 cents per square foot, for a total of 1.488, 436.
And we cannot do an amalgam of any of the assessments because it's got to comply with the pie graph.
Yes.
We can't say commercial, industrial, we're going here, but we're leaving residential. Okay.
Nope,
understood.
it has to fall in line with
Understood.
what the pie graph,
Okay.
the way the pie graph is cut up into a piece.
Yep.
Everybody has to pay their piece of the pie.
Gotcha.
Or we would set ourselves up for
And-
some
Understood.
liabilities.
I
Yeah.
got
The
you now.
239, what you're suggesting
Well,
would
there's
basically
one more
bring-
slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so the 239 is basically would bring us up to even what you're expecting to lose from the county.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would bring us to even, right? Hopefully, like I said, we don't know what
Right,
we're going to
right,
lose from the
right,
county yet. I can't guarantee that because, like I said, we're just in the beginning negotiation stages. But I know our first meeting, it was made very clear that they do want to reduce what they're paying, and it's already kind of happening because Station 21 is running several of our normal runs that we would have ran. So they're taking some of our revenue already. So we may even see a hit before this budget year's over. So we don't know how that's going to work. So like I said, I'm in negotiations with Chief Diaz now. We're trying to hammer out a fair and equitable contract for interlocal services. So the last slide we have for you is raising the residential rate to $250, which is a $27 a year increase, with a 24-cent increase to commercial, 7-cent increase to industrial warehouse, and a 16 institutional would stay flat. What that would give us is an 186,220 additional funding above the 783 that we are capped at right now, which now that we have the study done, we're technically not capped at 783 anymore. We have these abilities to do these different scenarios and change our assessment fees. So that would give us a 969,220 assessable value based on all those other factors that I mentioned, the exemptions and things like that. That's all factored into that. So that is what we are actually, that is actually what we're actually requesting, or we're actually suggesting. We know that, like I said, we know that we're going to lose some funds from the county. And at this time, we can't, as a fire department, it's going to be very difficult to take a large hit from the county and not be able to recoup those funds in some way, shape, or form. I think we're moving our department in the right direction. I believe we're being very physically responsible with the money that we have, and we're trying our hardest to make sure we keep on budget and we keep the same services that we have for our residents. I feel strongly that we're here to take care of our residents and make sure our residents get the best fire department they can possibly have. So we have to look at some other revenue sources. So we also suggest in the ordinance setting a minimum rate and a maximum rate. This way we don't have to go back every year and renotice everybody. So if each year we wanted to incrementally go up, or say we go up this year and then 2 years from now we want to go up again, we wouldn't have to renotice everybody every year, because that has a cost too. Renoticing people has a cost. So Any questions?
We don't go up every year, right?
We don't. We haven't gone up. We
for a
haven't
while.
increased
Yeah.
our fire assessment fees for 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, but I kind of have a problem with us not telling people, just going up.
Oh, we would have to.
Oh, we would have to.
Yeah.
And in this
Yeah.
this time we would have to. So.
No,
yeah.
I was saying about
Yeah,
if we
I see
said
what you're
it.
saying.
I don't have. We can do that. That's not.
Yeah,
That's not a
I
problem.
just
No, I don't problem. I don't
The-
I'm sorry, clarify your question, and maybe I can.
He was saying like if we said it in the ordinance to make it where we don't have to notify about raises, we can just.
You're still noticed in your trim notice.
Yeah, they're still going to be
Correct.
noticed.
So I'm saying, what is the difference between the process at which we do now than
Can
what
I
we?
just, I'm sorry, I was just gonna add
Diane.
real quick. We would still have the same process. It would still be approved in the commission public meeting. You would hear all of that, but it would also be included on your trim notice. So if you remember, you get a kind of like a property tax bill before you get your bill. And it has the millage rate on it and it has the fire assessment on it. If the numbers that you put on that trim notice go up, you have to send a new trim notice to everybody. That's the noticing that he's talking about. We'd still have public notice by having a public meeting and public discussion. It's just that trim notice, the pre-bill for your property tax would have to be resent if we went above the maximum rate.
So what we've been doing, if I can,
Did I-
so we'll go back a couple slides here. So in 2020, or excuse me, in 2018, the residential rate was 155. The max rate was 223. So that's what we're proposing doing now. So the city incrementally raised the fire assessment within that window. In 2020, we went from 155 to 223. So now at that point, we were maxed out because we were still going off of data that was from 2008. So we couldn't go any higher. That 223 was the threshold, which is what tripped this study happening now. So what we're proposing is the same window that the methodology that we've been running off of. So rather than running between 155 and 223, now we propose the 250 to 335. But it's the same thing. You, as a commission, choose each year what to set that rate at. And it goes out from there. But yeah, what we're talking about with the notice is, if you can, clarify a little bit more.
So currently, and I don't know if this is changing, I'm not sure, but currently, we do hear it each year, and you set it. And then once we set it, there is a letter sent out by their new company name.
Accenture, yep.
Yep. And they do all the mailings,
Right.
and that is what is included in our bill that we receive from them each year.
Right.
But there's a resolution where you do set that, and that comes before the commission, and it's in an agenda packet. That would stay the same, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I have a question. I understand setting the range right now based on the data that we have.
Right.
At what point do we recognize that we have to do a fire assessment study again? How often does that generally happen, and how much does that cost?
It's going to depend. Honestly, it's going to depend. So doing a complete new study like this was $16,000. And again, a full study has not been done since the initial one in 2008. Every department, every municipality is a little bit different as to how often they do them. It's really goes off of the call volume, the growth of the department, the growth of the municipality, and the needs. So there is not necessarily a one-size-fits-all timetable for everyone. It was badly needed for us. If we had a crystal ball, we'd have lots of answers. But I think by setting this window, it's going to give you a lot of wiggle room. And just because that window is there doesn't mean you have to go up every year. Because we're going to have the same meeting next year. Whether you say the 223, 239, 250, whatever it is, we're going to be standing up here next year doing the same thing to set the fire assessment for FY27. And it can stay 250, or you can bring it up, within that window, residential, however you want. But by setting the max, we're saying that we can't go any higher than that.
Now, do we use this same pie chart to do the distribution, or do you reset that pie chart every year based on calls?
So the distribution is based off of this study.
Okay, so that's static.
Correct. So
Okay.
that's why the institutional and commercial rates have been so low.
Yeah.
Because it was, the 2 cents per square foot for institutional or industrial was going off of data that's 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
17 years old. So,
But that sets our jumping off point. I get it.
Yep.
And at any time, I believe at any time we can do another study. If we see exponential growth in the next 5 years, it might not be a bad idea to do another study, because I would venture to guess we would probably have a different height, a different top max out window. So we can do these as whenever we feel appropriate. Financially, it'd probably be more beneficial if we wait until we see if we have exponential growth. So if we have a lot of growth, then yeah, maybe we do another study, because they are expensive, and that was 16.5 this year. 5 years from now, it's probably going to be a lot more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And those total numbers were based on the square footage of the commercial and industrial that we had from last year. So like if
Correct.
we have these new businesses coming in this year. I got you. Okay.
Yep.
So typically when they do this, they go off of, when they set the rates, they're looking at a 95% collection to build in. It might be a little bit less, it might be a little bit more, because you don't know when exactly all the tax revenue is going to be collected. Generally residential, you see a little bit more each year because, well, a new house has come online. So, next year there's going to be that 223. So this data is based off of what's on the tax rolls for last year. So undoubtedly there's probably a handful of new houses that have since moved in. So, that revenue is going to be up a little bit, but that's why they go based off that 95%, is assuming that there's going to be some collections that won't happen, or there's going to be that little bit of wiggle room.
I know that you guys live in this world, but this was incredibly educational for me. And laying it out this way, really, really good. So I learned a ton. Thank you.
thank you.
So do we.
Yeah, well, we both learned a lot, trust me. So,
Hopefully my last question. No promises. Are you guys making a suggestion that we start at the 250 mark? Is
yes,
that
we
what-
are.
Okay.
Yes, that's our suggestion.
Here's the benefit, if I may. I'm sorry, Chief.
No, you're fine.
But the whole point of the fire assessment is it's the commission's desire to reduce the amount of money that's coming out of the general fund. Thus, that money can be reallocated elsewhere. So fire assessment revenue can only be used for the fire department. And I think that's what a lot of people need to understand is it can't go to this project, it can't go to that project. Every single cent that comes into the fire assessment has to go to fund fire protection services in the city of High Springs. So the reduction from the general fund can go towards other projects that we have in other general fund departments.
We're trying to get self-sufficient again. That's, the end goal. The wrench in everything is the possibility of what's going on with the county. So,
Right.
and we're trying to make it so where we can have a little bit of surplus, so we can put a little back into the general fund and not have to take quite as much this coming budget year. So,
Any other questions?
No, that was phenomenal. Thank you, Chief.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks.
Oh, I did have a question. Kevin, did you make this slide?
You can neither confirm nor deny.
I was like, yeah, it looked a little different. It looked much more advanced than everybody else. So. All right, moving on. We have no unfinished business. Citizen requests and comments for issues not on the agenda. Please state your name for the record. You have 5 minutes, and we're going to let all the citizens talk, and then the commission will respond.
Commissioners, Mayor, Vice Mayor, I have prepared a letter. I'm going to read from this letter. You will have a copy. Excuse me. I'm Julie Tapia Ruano. I'm addressing the out-of-order vote that took place at last week's meeting. Last week's joint city and county meeting was in large part a success for most issues presented, except when it came to the forced and out-of-order vote pushed by Mayor Grunder concerning alcohol ordinances as written in our city code, Section 10. What ensued was an embarrassment for our city in front of the county commission and media present. First of all, we dispensed with our traditional invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, very unpatriotic. Secondly, we had technical issues by passing around only one microphone. Very hard to hear discussion, even in the front row. Do we even have an audio recording of this meeting? Thirdly, item number 5 was added to the agenda without city representation per Mayor Grunder's confessed absence and failure to send another in his place, with language that was controversial to repeal an alcohol ordinance, a portion of which was approved in 2024 and is currently undergoing a proper and constitutional petition process by the citizens of High Springs. This clerk-approved process has time limits and procedures built in. We need to let this action continue to its natural end. Despite the lawful objections of Commissioner Miller and Commissioner Whites, Commissioner Bloodsworth being excused, the county and mayor continued to push the issue. The eventual forced vote, which thankfully died to the tie of 2-2, was out of order for many reasons. This meeting was for discussion and reports only. There was absolutely no previous notice given that the issue would be brought up. Section 35 of Robert's Rules of Order regarding to rescind, amend something previously adopted states no less than 9 times the phrase previous notice of intent to offer one of these motions. These motions are subject to open debate. Section 1045 of Robert's Rules states the following. Accordingly, it is desirable to give previous notice if there is a possibility of serious disagreement. Mayor Grunder is well acquainted with the controversial nature of the proposal and was trying to blindside the constituents of High Springs. Number 3, repealing an ordinance follows the same guidelines to approve one in that it requires attorney or clerk oversight for language, reference to the specific code numbers, public notices, public readings, public discussions, and then ends in a vote. Repealing an ordinance cannot exceed the original scope of the ordinance, namely giving a legal and proper administrative process for special use permits. Mayor Grunder's intent to completely repeal several, if not all, sections of the alcohol ordinances far exceeds that scope. Number 4, when this citizen inquired of the city attorney his interpretation of various alcohol licensing in Florida, the answer given, to no fault of his own, was lacking depth as he had not a chance to prepare for the issue for the last-minute edition of the issue. The backdoor approach of the repeal was not only out of order, but was operating on vague language and a disregard for results obtained last year and a disregard for the petition process now underway per Section 5.06 of our City of High Springs Code of Ordinances. Perhaps the clerk can update us where the petition is in the timeline of events and give a date certain by which they must have their signatures. It is the opinion of this citizen and public servant that Mayor Grunder did not conduct a proper meeting last week. And if I might just change it up and offer a little humorous observation about the whole issue. We talked about deeper purpose last week. We talked about the brewery. And here's the humorous proposal that I would give. Given the set of problems that the brewery is having with the city and the set of problems that Elder Adam Joy and Deeper Purpose are having with the unincorporated county, I propose a land swap trade. Move the brewery to 441 and Deeper Purpose sets up community center downtown at the brewery site. Everyone is happy, the county and city are served, and the issue is resolved. Thank you.
David Lynch, L-I-N-C-H. Topic number 1, our concrete streets. I beg the city manager and the city commissioners not to pave over our concrete streets. Topic number 2, small children driving electric scooters at high rates of speed. Is this what the commissioners want in their city? Small children driving electric scooters at high rates of speed. Topic number 3, I'd just like to remind the commissioners that, and the city manager that alcoholic beverages kill 7,000 people each day. Does the city manager and the commissioners want the name of their city associated with a product that kills 7,000 people each day?
Sean Coles, City of High Springs, and I just had a simple request. I was hoping to get an update on where things might be with the priest. I think a lot of people are wondering how things are going with it. I know that the chairs and the projector were taken out. That's awesome to hear, but just wondering if there's any new news. Thank you.
Great, so that's in my city manager's report, so there really hasn't been, where'd he go? There he goes. Hasn't been much movement because our architect had the architectural review drawings, and it has to be submitted to the state, who's the grantor, because of the historical significance. The state architect has to approve it. We sent that email on February 26th to the architect has been out of the state. Ashley Molden, who kind of oversees the reporting of it, has multiple times reached out to get updates, and I've sent emails. We'll start a hurricane season. I'm nervous. It's important to the community. That building it's a center of the community. And so we got told this week that the architect should be back next week. I know Ashley Molden, she's like a pit bull. She'll be on them next week. And hopefully we can get it, because as soon as that is done, then we can bid it out to contractors and get the actual construction working. Answer your question? Thank you.
Any other citizen comments? All right, would the commission like to respond to anything? All right, well, we're going on to new business item number 1, discuss and consider an act on appointing a member to the vacant plan board position.
So you have a vacancy due to a resignation on the planning board. Before you, you have 2 applicants. Talking with Christy, who is our planning tech, who she has the most interaction with the planning board, and she'd be happy with either one of them. One comes with experience, one comes with a fresh set of ideas. So we really don't have a recommendation. We're happy with whoever you choose.
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I may, please. I learned a lot from the plan board, and I learned a lot from Mr. Walsh when he was first there. That the group of individuals we have up there is unparalleled. They are incredible. And I agree that his experience and his commitment, and I'm glad he's back in High Springs, would serve us incredibly well. I would also like to offer, from your perspective in terms of the fresh set of eyes, Mr. Walter reached out to me and said that he was not going to be able to be here because he's got strep throat. So he was sorry about that. But he wrote this to me, and I normally don't have my phone out, but it says, "For what it's worth, I saw Mr. Walsh's resume. It's impeccable, and I would pick him. Previous board experience, military history, risk management. I can't argue against that. Have a good night." This kind of selflessness and this kind of heart would also serve incredibly well. I have a hard time picking between the 2 of them, but I wanted you to know that Mr. Walter, I just appreciate that perspective so much, and that selflessness. So that's all I have to say.
I like the idea of having someone younger on the board because they think quick on their feet.
You would, wouldn't you?
So, so I would love that idea to be really considered.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. Walter had applied before. He also ran for city commission once, qualified a second time, and withdrew for, I think, also very unselfish reasons. So, but I'm very partial to Mr. Walsh's family too. So, I think they would both do an amazing job. I agree, though, with you in terms of having a kind of a different perspective. I think that would serve well, and it would fit in well with the current group. They're just a great group. And I encourage you guys to go to some of those meetings if you want to, because I've learned a ton from them.
Chad, what's your poison?
I mean, yeah, looking at the resume of Mr. Walsh, I mean, it's fantastic, but I got to agree that, a fresh set of eyes, something new. How else is somebody else supposed to get experience if they're not given a chance? So I don't know at this point. I'm torn. So
It's a nice place to be, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Walter also served on the Mayor's Youth Council for many years, or many years ago, so he's been involved for a while. Yep.
I entertain a motion.
I'm going to make a motion that we appoint Mr. Zachary Walter.
I'll second that.
All right. Any citizen comments?
Planning board, am I prohibited from endorsing any candidate, any appointee? Mr. Attorney? No, not prohibited, okay. I would recommend Zach Walter for the planning board. I am here to recommend him because, for the opening, he could not be here because he had been quite ill this week. While both candidates are surely equally qualified to serve, I have known Zach since his days as a teenager in our youth group. I have observed that he has grown into a young man of integrity, honesty, and trustworthiness. Zach is very successful in his career at Campus Credit Union, where he trains multiple teams and members in many disciplines. Zach is also the lead usher at Impact Family Church, whose duties include aspects of security, handling the collection of offerings, and providing a welcoming environment through our greeters to our congregation. Zach is a lifelong resident of High Springs, I believe, and has recently built a beautiful home in city limits with his wife, Kelsey. He worked closely with his builder to achieve that dream on a lot which was challenging and that others may have overlooked. Zach understands High Springs' goals for development in a controlled manner and would be a good fit for the appointment of the board. Thank you, Julie Tapia Ruano.
Any other citizen comments? All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, so Mr. Zach will be on the planning board. All right. New business item number 2, discuss and consider an act on resolution 2025-C, setting the election to fill city commission seat number 3, designating the election for the 4th day of November 2025, and setting the qualifying period and fees.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2025-C as presented.
Second.
Any citizen comments? All right, this is a roll call vote, right?
And Attorney, do you want to read the title, or do you want me to? Okay, he did, okay. No, if he read the whole thing, we're good. Okay, Vice Mayor Miller,
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Howell,
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
All right. Discuss and consider an act on air liquid maintenance trailer and locker room site plan.
Good evening, Commissioners. Krista Adkins, your planning technician. And this one is a commercial site plan. Do we need to be sworn in?
You're an employee, correct?
Yes, and we do have the engineer here tonight that will also
We'll swear,
speak.
I mean, we can swear the engineer now if you like, just so we can make it all easy. Anyone else beside the engineer going to speak to this matter? Nope. You go ahead and raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And at the time you give your testimony, as you know, if there's any ex parte communications you have to communicate, please let us know, okay?
Okay, so this is a commercial site plan review of Air Liquide's maintenance trailer and locker rooms. They're replacing a building with 2 buildings. It's not visible from the road. It's set behind another building. The site plan was reviewed internally by the Site Plan Review Committee, and it was also recommended approval by the Plan Board on May 19th meeting. So we recommend approval for this as it meets the minimum code requirements, and the engineer is here for any technical questions.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I have a question. What is the not so much a technical question, what's the difference in square footage? They had one building, and this is one of the buildings that was lost a couple years ago? No, this
They're
is completely
replacing it.
unrelated?
So it's not the one that blew up. It's
Okay.
they're replacing one.
I was trying not to say blow up.
But I know the square footage change was relatively small. All things
Yeah,
considered.
I don't remember either. I just remember it's very small because they have a limited space for it. And the purpose of the building is that the building that's there today or that was removed is a modular building because these kind of safety and staging buildings, offices. They get upgrades all the time for safety purposes, and so they're taking the existing modular building out and bringing in these replacement modular buildings to meet current safety codes. And then also too, because they're modular buildings, it's over existing concrete, and
Okay.
therefore there's no additional impervious area. It's the same.
So
sort
there's
of
no new
impervious area.
slab, it's going on an existing slab?
Exactly correct.
Okay. And they are designed as these buildings to do this. If something happens, they don't do this?
Oh, so these
They
have
do
just
this.
employees inside of them. So this is for their
If it caught on
gear
fire.
and that kind of stuff. I'm sure they meet all applicable fire code requirements. They just don't have anything to do with any of the
Understood.
hazardous storage. It's all about the employee and their safety equipment. As a point of order, my name is Christopher Gamir. I'm the engineer of record for this project and agent for the applicant on this project as well.
And the location of these buildings, is it in close proximity to the propane distribution?
No, I think that's on the very rear of the property.
Okay.
And the Dipperane building that was permitted for replacement about 6 months ago now, something like that. That's the next building closer.
Okay.
And then there's even, I think, some other buildings, and then it's these two that are right. So as you drive by the site, you'll see their main office building at the very front. These are the two buildings right behind that office building.
Okay.
So they control access to it. Only employees can get to this area, and it's meant for the storage of all their safety equipment and all those kinds of things, and lockers, et cetera, et cetera.
And if it's just storage and there's nothing active going on there, it would also serve as some buffer to the street.
Everything acts
you
as a
know?
buffer.
Yeah.
Yes, too.
Buffer is good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the commission?
No, sir.
I entertain a motion.
I make a motion, sir, that we approve the plans as presented for Air Liquide installing replacement maintenance trailer and locker rooms.
I second.
Any citizen, can we have citizen comments? Okay. Any citizen comments, you have to get sworn in if you want to speak to this matter. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, it's approved. All right. Item number 5, discuss, consider, and act on the High Springs Industrial Park parking lot, I was right, Park Lot 3 site plan.
Hello again. This is also a commercial site plan. It is for the High Springs Industrial Park Lot 3. Previously, you all have seen one that's very similar in scope. That would be Lot 4. It was about a couple years ago now. Standard warehouse use. It meets all minimum requirements in our land development code. It also went through internal review, went to plan board, and we recommend approval.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I have a question. Is this a brand-new business that's coming in?
Yes.
That's wonderful.
And I don't know too many details on them yet, as they haven't pulled a business license because they don't have a location. But from what I hear, imports, exports. That's all I know.
Imports,
Unless you have more. But that's what we heard at Plan Board was imports, exports, new
Okay.
business.
Are they hiring?
Well, I attended this meeting when they reviewed this as well, and again, I always get very educated by the group of gentlemen, retired firefighter, somebody who works actively in stormwater. So all the questions that you get on stormwater design are highly educated, and they're doing a great job.
Any other questions from the commission? I entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the plans for High Springs Industrial Park, Lot 3.
Second.
Any citizen comments? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. It's approved. All right. Item number 6, update on land development code rewrite.
Me again.
Before
So-
Christy speaks, I want you guys to know that she spent a solid 2 days of just going through these proposals and researching the references, researching the companies, researching their projects. And in the next commission or next packet, you're gonna get, we're gonna put those 3, right? We're gonna
Yes.
put the 3 findings from her. But she needs to really be commended for the amount of detail what you guys are gonna see at the next meeting for this rewrite. I think we got a good plan, and I think you're gonna have a good LDC at the end of it.
And I did have help with my research, though. Jamie helped me with some of the research into references, so that helped tremendously. But yes, we received 3 submittals for our land development code rewrite, and so I've been looking into their references, looking into what they've proposed, their scope of work, the cost associated, because that's usually the big one. So we'll get you a packet together with a lot of information just showing what you're looking at, and we'll bring it back to you. We just didn't want you to think we forgot it. It's an ongoing process of research.
In those packets, when we get them, will we have hourly rates for the planners, for the people? Do they have that all detailed?
Yes, so I guess I should back up. This is technically our second RFP, our request for proposal, because we sent out the first one. The responses that we got did not have dollar amounts associated, and we didn't think we could make a very good selection if we didn't know what it was going to cost us. So we sent it back out. We had the same 3 responses, now with a fee schedule in it. So yes, we will compare what we will be paying, what we will be getting, the teams that are involved, just all the details of the project so you can make the best choice.
But do they break it down, remember, do they break it down by hourly?
Oh, by hourly?
You know, this employee will be charged at this amount, kind of like our attorneys, you know, a paralegal gets paid at, I don't know, what do they pay him, $70 an hour?
So some of them do have information on that, I believe. Lump sum was the big overall.
To answer your question, it's not broke down in detail the way that you're asking.
Lump sum makes me nervous. Time and materials is a little bit more transparent for me. I mean, I don't know what we asked for, so
Right.
to be
We
fair,
gave
let's
them the
step
option.
back.
So in the RFP, we had said, provide a fee schedule. It needs to be either hourly rate or lump sum fee. We need to know what we're going to be paying. And sometimes the hourly one, it makes me nervous because I don't know if there's a cap. So they could just work and work and work and we're paying them, but where is the cap on that? So lump sum was my recommendation, just to make sure we know what's that maximum we're going to hit.
Do we have the ability throughout this process to drill down to more detail that way? Because, I mean, if you're going to be doing, our engineer could tell you, if you're going to be doing a big engineering project, he's going to use the intern to do as much as he can, and, that the PE doesn't have to do. But if they're allowed to bill out an engineer 4, they're going to do it because that's great for their multiplier.
Right.
You
And
know,
I
you
believe-
lock in a 4.0 and you are singing, glory and praise. But
I know one of the submittals has more broken down information for what it's costing per phase, because they do like a phased approach of the project starting here, this is what's in this first phase of work, like community outreach and rewriting and things. So I know one of them at least has a breakdown of that. I'll have to double check the other ones, because I think one of them was only lump sum, but it would be billed so much per month up until they finish the project, and then by then, we would pay out the rest. So,
isn't that how we did the Parks and Rec master plan? Was it a lump sum?
I wasn't
Because
super
I remember
involved in that
signing a
one.
whole bunch of checks for that, and you might have signed one tonight. I don't know, but
Yeah, it was.
it was lump sum.
I believe so.
And the good thing is I can also give you estimates, because I've been pulling information for what other cities have paid for their services. So I've been able to find some continuing service contracts. I've been able to find their lump sum fees for different things. Granted, the scopes of work are not always exactly accurate to what ours is, which is a full rewrite, but we'll be able to compare what everybody paid, what they got, compare hourly type situations, and see kind of what we could have paid if we did hourly and whatnot. There's just a lot of I know it sounds weird, but
It's
there's
a
a lot
huge
of
effort.
information,
Yeah.
and that's why it's taking so long to compile, because I want it to be digestible to you all, and I want you to understand what we're getting for it.
It'll be like drinking from a fire hose. It's okay.
Yeah, we'll work through it.
Because it's a lot. I mean, this is a huge effort, but I think it's critical. Okay, so when will we get those packets prior to the next meeting? Is that something, or is it going to take another month or two to actually compile it?
Well, if we are bringing it back to you, let's see.
I'm not trying to push. I'm just trying to.
No. I just, whenever it's on your agenda, you will have it in your agenda packets.
Okay.
I won't give it to you day of.
Yeah, okay.
Just
it's
the
a lot.
results on here.
Sorry?
It says the next meeting on here.
Okay, so it'll be at the next meeting potentially. Okay. Okay.
Was this just a discussion?
Yes, just
Okay.
informational for you all. And I mean, if that date doesn't work for you guys, we can always move it. I don't know your guys' schedules or if anyone will be out, but
No, that's not a problem for
We'll-
me.
we'll have
I
it
mean,
in your
just-
agenda packets.
It's gonna be, it'll be a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best meeting to do it, but. Yeah, I think we should move it to the next one, honestly.
Okay.
I feel like,
26th,
Yeah.
to the next one, first one in August.
August?
Or not
Okay.
August, July.
July.
Will we be doing budgets in July?
Real quick, let me ask a question. Can we move the date since it was posted in the bid packets?
Right, it was posted for this meeting, that's why we're giving an update, so that, now if we establish that we're putting it on that meeting, that would suffice, would it not?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
say
So
that.
we can, it's okay with you, Angela, to
Yep.
move it to July. Yeah, we can do that. Does that have to be a vote? Move it since it was in the bid packet? No, okay.
First or second meeting in July?
first. Yeah.
I'll have it ready.
Yeah, I just want to have us enough time that we're
Yeah.
not trying to rush over it because we got so many other issues. So,
And as soon as I have the info and the boss blesses it, I can get it to you.
Okay.
all right. Well, thank you. All right, city attorney update.
I have nothing specific, but I would say that I'm sensitive to some of the citizen comments specifically regarding the alcohol ordinance and the issues before the community. There's been significant time spent discussing this behind closed doors, working with, obviously, city manager. And we will be amply prepared next week to address the issues that you've so eloquently raised. So thank you for your patience, and we look forward to that next week.
All right, city manager update.
So you see a little bit different format for your city manager's report. I feel that my city manager reports previously were inadequate, wasn't really giving you the updates that you need. So you're gonna get so this is gonna be a document, it's gonna be a living document that I continuously update with, so the commission will do, you'll see the Priest Theater, wastewater treatment. Now that we've added a strategic plan, and then the rest will be updates as you go along, but, you know, that way you guys can stay updated on the bigger projects. And what I'll do is update on, one, I went to the Florida City Managers Association Annual Conference. It was great, got some great education out of it. The two key ones I went to was a course in AI in a local government and how to find more efficiencies and lower the error rate. And the presenter gave us a bunch of props, and it says that if you effectively use it, it will save you 5 hours a week that you can spend in higher level stuff. And really been working with the staff, trying to coax them into it, not forcing it on anybody. And also, I went to a nice strategic planning workshop on how to make your strategic plan useful, because a lot of these studies we spend money on and whatnot, we get it done and it looks nice and we put it on a shelf, and do we ever really use it? You know, a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff on my shelf from years ago. This class was talking about how to engage the commission, the staff, and the public to create an overall document and how to present that as you go through leading the city. The question will now be asked is, how does that match up with our strategic plan? So the strategic plan will actually get used. It was a great class. It was a great conference. Parks and Rec, there's a whole bunch of dates in there. Listen, our Parks and Rec is doing great. Jennifer Appleby does a phenomenal job. As you see, we got adult slow pitch softball, we got soccer clinics, flag football, strength clinics, soccer, everything in there. So a lot of great stuff coming up. Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I did have a question about Parks and Recs. With the Juneteenth dedication event, I see they reached out to the Kiwanis Club. Did they reach out to the Douglas Historic Society?
I don't know. I can ask Jennifer Appleby. I would imagine, but I will find out.
That was all my question.
Thank you. That's all I have for my report.
All right, Commissioner Howell.
Oh, real quick before you get into Commissioner Howell, this meeting took 1 hour. This looks great. This is your break for the next meeting. The next meeting, I'm telling you, it is not just the alcohol. Well, we did just move the LDC, but, you know, there's, that next meeting it's gonna be, so enjoy your early night off.
I did not have anything this week.
Nice.
Commissioner White.
I'll tell you with the AI thing, I have been using ChatGPT.
Oh, nice.
When I'm pulling permits for places all over the place, I couldn't figure out who's the permitting authority. It's a city in Davenport, but you have to pull the permit in Haines City. ChatGPT has changed, and I'm like a boomer, and I'm using this every day now, so it's been pretty impressive.
So they say you save 5 hours a week with the efficiency of ChatGPT. I'll give you a success story. I use it. I mean, my staff is so sick of it. I mean, look, you can see them all smiling. I'm telling you, this is the future of work. If you haven't used it, just get on to ChatGPT and ask it to write me an email. Write me an email. Tell the city manager what a bozo he is, and they'll write you an eloquent email. But April, down in the utility office, I called her yesterday. I had to get some data for Commissioner White's, which you guys got in front of you, and a couple other projects. And I told her, you know, you can have till the end of the week, or if you need more time, next week. And we just had the conversation that morning about AI, and she went and she's never used it, and she did it, and she did 2 reports that she said it would take her 2 hours to do, and she had it done in 5 minutes. Went back and proofread it with no errors.
Wow.
Some cities are doing their whole annual city budget. $40 million budgets are being done on AI. But what's the cool thing about it is we're not replacing, so it's not going to replace a single employee here. Nobody here is going to be replaced by AI. But as we grow we have all this development, and as we grow as a city, there's going to be more demands on staff, more administrative burden, and with the efficiencies that I've been finding with AI, our staff is able to do more work in less time with lower error rates, and that will allow me to keep current staffing levels while handling the growth. Eventually, we're going to have to hire more employees, but AI will make the efficiency so we don't have to hire as many employees or the time length of what we can do it. It's a great product. I have not forced it on a single staff member, but if you're in my office and you bring me a report, I'm going to ask if you ran it through AI. It's a great, I don't know. I hate Facebook. I hate technology. I really just do. But AI is the future of the way the work's going to get done.
If we use it right, I agree. You mentioned April, and at the last meeting, Vice Mayor Miller gave her the Employee of the Week. What I think a lot of people don't know is how tight this staff is, and that April had a coworker whose wife was ill, and he had burned through all of his PTO. And April Roberts donated the maximum amount of her PTO to this employee so he could stay home with his wife. That's who we have working here. Everybody's like that. So I just wanted to give her a shout out because, I mean, I love her to pieces anyway, but she's never going to tell anybody else that.
I was talking to Kevin today, and we were talking about different if you haven't been paying attention to the news, there's a lot of motion going around in these cities around us.
Yes, there
city
is.
managers leaving, city clerks leaving, and we were talking about, some of these municipalities have reached out. As you can see, we lost one police officer. They are reaching out, and they pay more. But the culture that the staff has built together, it's a family, and nobody messes with the family. We're like a mafia.
Yep.
I mean, I will pick on Angela as long as the day is long. But if somebody else comes in and messes with Angela, the whole staff is gonna. It's a tight knit group, and what I really like, the one thing I like the most since I've started this just a little over a year ago, is this person talking to this person and working behind the scenes to get the information and get things done. The teamwork, everything has just been great. And, it doesn't surprise me that April donated that. It's just the way staff is with each other.
Yep. And I wanted to share this with everybody. This is why I'm sitting here. John Sturpey painted this picture of downtown High Springs, and it's just absolutely stunningly beautiful, and it was visceral for me. This is why we moved here, and it's just stunning, and this is why April is a rock star, because this is how it feels to me. And Mr. Decker asked if he could display this at the museum, and I'll hand it to you tonight, sir, since you are here. I'll be happy to share this with you. I wanted to get some clarification, if I could, please, sir, what the request is for what we will be discussing at the next meeting with regard to the alcohol ordinance. I don't know, what are we expecting? What did Mr. Mayor ask for us to discuss?
So, that's a tricky question for me to answer.
I didn't mean to set you up, I'm
Nope,
sorry.
it's okay. I talked to Danielle today, and what I originally was gonna do is we were gonna bring you multiple ordinances and multiple resolutions, just to give you all the options. Repeal the alcohol, get rid of, or talk to Mayor Miller about the distances. We figured that probably not gonna work the way we thought, but we're looking at other ideas. And all the different resolutions and ordinances, but talking with Danielle, our city attorney today, she's gonna come and nothing is gonna be decided. It's which route do you guys wanna go? Because the board is split on this. That's not a secret. The community is split on this. That's not a secret. And staff is getting pulled this way and this way, and it's really hard for us to work on a split topic. And Danielle will come next month, and she's prepared to discuss and lead the conversation about the alcohol, what your options are, and come into a consensus and what the process will be from there.
Okay. And to Ms. Tapiruano's question, Angela, do you have information in terms of where they are in the process of their petition? Because that's absolutely their right to proceed that way.
I had communication with them. They presented the petition to me, and that was I believe it was the beginning of April, and get the exact date. I don't have the exact date in my head right now, but it was right around the end of March, beginning of April.
Okay.
And our charter defines the process. It's
Right.
180 days they have.
So 6 months they have from, let's just say,
April
April 1st for just for a day.
But there's 45 days the supervisor of elections has to review once they turn in their signatures. I don't know where they are in their process.
Okay.
I'm not, since they turned that in, that's the last communication I had with them myself.
Okay.
I do want to say that it is a thing where, like I said at the last meeting, the ordinance would come to you.
Sure.
Right, and then you would vote on it once they get their signatures. That's 2 readings. Then a resolution has to come, if that did not pass. Then a resolution comes to put it to referendum on the next general election. The problem that is going to present is we're coming very close to when we have to have our ballots done, because we have we have vote by mail. And we have to have those available. We can't wait till November and have it on the ballot.
Right.
So there is a little bit of a time crunch. And again, it's not just our staff that they're relying on. The supervisor of elections is the one that has to review those signatures. So I don't know. I've heard rumors, they're still getting signatures.
Sure.
I don't know where they are in their process.
Well, let's presume that they've got the 180 days to gather the signatures. That's what they're legally allowed. Mr. Attorney, this may be a question for you. So let's say randomly April 1st to October 1st. Obviously, it's not going to make it on this November's ballot at that point. Then it goes to the Supervisor of Elections office for verification of signatures and whatnot. If you go through that process, Mr. Attorney, and you end up in December or January of the next year, is that enough to hold it over to the next November so they wouldn't have to go through that all again?
Your mic's off. Your mic's off.
Yeah, I believe you can sort of date it back, relate it back to the original date. But that's certainly an issue we've also looked at. I know that I spoke today with Danielle as well. And in addition to this sort of panoply of ordinance options and what other cities have done and all these things, we wanted to sort of educate everyone about this time frame, and in particular, the mail-in ballot issue. We addressed that last week a little bit, and I we're prepared to discuss all that as well.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I do believe there is a way to preserve the issue if that's what you're asking.
Without them having to do it again?
To start
If they
anew.
can't get it for this November? Okay, okay. And the only other thing I have is Happy Father's Day to all of the dads. We appreciate you guys. You make it good. So, thank you.
All right, so our employee of the week this week is Mr. Sergeant Hampton. He got nominated for the Valor Award for saving someone from drowning, and it was actually a kid, so that was an awesome thing that he did. I did have a couple questions. Do we have any updates with the lost revenue from the meters at Oak Ridge?
No.
Nothing? Okay.
To give you the last update, is we talked with our attorney Danielle, and we don't know if we have a legal standing to go after it, but they are requesting numbers of actual what it cost. And so, we think that you have water, we pump in water and then we pump it out and we charge it for you, but there's costs to filtering that water and whatnot, and we weren't able to account for the revenue for it, so the company has asked us to at least figure out what the damages are. But we lost $130,000 maybe in revenue, and we've been just beating them up trying to get them to reimburse the money, but I don't think we have a legal standing.
All right. So the signs, I know I asked you about this, and then I called the business owners back, and they said they are just seeing those signs, the 3-hour parking signs. Do we know when they actually got put up in front of the sweet
Those signs
spot?
have been there before my addition to HSPD.
Okay.
So a very long time. No enforcement, none of that, so.
All right. I think that's all I had. All right. I entertain a motion to adjourn.